All right, testing, testing. I believe we are live. Let me go ahead and give this a listen. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Broke Creators Podcast. And today we are going to be talking about the 3 red flags for working with clients, specifically inside the filmmaking and industrial side of filmmaking. Yeah, so let's hop straight into it now. I asked a bunch of my friends what they thought big red flags were for working with filmmakers, or not even working with filmmakers, but working with clients that are inside the filmmaking industry. So I'm going to be going off that list that they gave me. So let's go ahead and take a look over here. So the first one they said is going to be when people don't value slash respect your opinions as industry professionals. That is a really good one, and I'm glad that somebody stated this because I want to go into detail on this. So let's start off with that one first, all right? So basically, imagine a client comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to do such and such, all right? I want to, I don't know, I want to make a documentary." And you're like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "Yeah, I understand you're the industry professional. You know, you have the foresight. You've done this before. You know what you're doing in this field. But I want to do it this, and this way." Cool. Okay, that's fine. It's okay to know exactly what you want to do inside of that industry or inside of that field. But when they hire you as a tool to get the job done, that's when I start having issues. And yes, you are a tool to get the product done because you know how to do it. You know how to use the tools. You know how to use the software. You've spent the time and hours learning how to use those different materials. But when they literally treat you like an actual tool in order to get it done, they're like, "Hey, I need you to do it exactly like this, and this." And you're like, "This doesn't look good. This won't work. People don't watch that." That's where I start having issues because they are just abusing your skill sets basically to get exactly what they want done. And it, most of the time won't look good. And if you try to make a recommendation, be like, "Hey, this is what you really need to be getting done in order for this to look good," they'll start having issues and they'll be like, "Oh, well, I know what I want." I'm like, "That's fine that you know what you want, but literally this is not going to look good." And if they don't heed your advice, then you're just like, "Well, it kind of just ends up looking how it is." And you're just like, "I'm not proud of this, how this looked, and I'm not proud of how it kind of turned out." So that's, I would say, is like the one of the first main flags. When a person hires you but doesn't value your opinion on the subject, it just blows my mind. So like if you're gonna hire, if you're a client right now actually looking at it and you want to know if you're picking up red flags, let's say if you hire a photographer to shoot your wedding, but you tell them how to shoot it, you tell them what sunlight you want to use, what angles you want to use, the photos aren't going to come out as good as you instruct them to be. If you let them do their creative work, if you let them do their job, if you let them craft it how you've seen their work on social media or if how you've seen it in their demo reel, then it's probably going to end up looking a lot better than how it actually would turn out if you directed them. Because if they had their own creative freedom and like do what they want to do, it's gonna look so much better than if you tell them, "All right, I want to be facing the sun." They're like, "No, nobody looks good facing the sun. Let's backlight you and put a reflector." Boom. You might not have known that's the way that you're supposed to light people in those situations, and ends up looking so much better. So that's, it's just one thing. Don't don't instruct don't tell the professional how to do their job. You wouldn't tell a plumber how to fix your sink. You're not gonna have hire a plumber and be like, "I want you to do this, this, and this, fix the sink." If you told them to do that, you would have already done it, or the plumber's probably not gonna fix your sink. They're gonna be like, "Oh, if you know how to do it, they're gonna leave." Don't do it to filmmakers. Don't do it to creative people. Let them have their creative reign a little bit. Next thing, what's next on our list? Let's see. Next on our list is people that are not inside the creative industry, so not inside like the filmmaking industry, or like that don't work in this type of environment on the regular basis, giving unrealistic timelines and schedules. Oh my god. Pet peeve number 2. Definitely something that gets on my nerves a lot of the time. So, here's another instance. Let's say you're a person that works a 9 to 5 job, but you do music on the side and you want to a music video. So you hire somebody out like me. You say, "Hey, I want you to film a music video. How much will it cost?" I tell you the budget. It aligns up with what you have saved up to make this music video. We make something work. You say, "All right, I want to make a music video inside of a month." I'm like, "Okay, that's going to be a little bit tight, but it's possible to do it." And then you stay. All right, so we film the music video 2 weeks. Well, first week of the month, we do pre-production. We do planning. We get all the props ready. We do everything to get the music video ready. Week 2, we film it. Maybe 1 or 2 days, probably going to be 1 day only. And then after, like, let's say midday of week 2, like the 15th or something like that, you're like, how many days is it going to take to get it done? I think it's going to take around like 7 to 14 days to get done. You're like, I've made a video in high school or college, the school project one. It didn't take me that long. It only took me around 3 hours. Yes, it might take me 3 hours to make it, but really, based off of my workload and how I ever made projects done, it's going to take realistically 7 to 14 days. But you're like, actually, we can get it done in 1 day. Yes, that might be realistic and possible, but it's not happening. Excuse me also. But yeah, no, that's not happening because of the workload I have going on. And if you tell me that you want to sit down with me as we're editing it, that's like a bonus round red flag that you want to sit down and edit and watch me edit over my shoulder. I'm going to be like, no, we're not doing that because I've done that before. I gave a person a chance and I was like, maybe it won't be that bad. It was horrible. Editing over a person's shoulder is not fun for either individual of the party. I mean, it wasn't fun for me. It probably wasn't fun for them. And you work slower. This kind of goes back to red flag number 1, not letting them do their creative work. If you let them edit it, the style that you saw on their social media or the way that they edit, they can be a lot more creative, have a lot more freedom. But if you were over their shoulder telling them when to cut, when to do this, it's going to only turn out as good as you can tell them. And at that point, you might as well learn how to edit yourself and then do it yourself. But you're not, because you hired this professional to do the job for you, because you didn't have the experience, you didn't have the time, you didn't have the resources. So if you're going to hire them, let them do their job. But there's always a caveat to it, a little asterisk mark somewhere in the high corner that says, if you know exactly what you want, let them know, because they might not know how to do it. But just don't be a micromanager of creatives. We work freelance jobs for a reason, so we don't have to deal with micromanagers. Just saying. And the last thing, but not the least, is low budgets. Oh my God. So yes and no, low budgets are red flags. And let me preference that. We also should change camera angles because we can. Low budgets are a red flag because generally people with low budgets require the highest, most astronomical workflows. They want the best quality of stuff. They want Hollywood level stuff for dirt cheap. Like, I've had experiences where a person's like, hey, could you film my wedding? And I'm like, absolutely. What's your budget? They tell me $200. I'm like, I could film it with a phone, honestly, but there's not much I could do after that because you're going to want me to film it for 8 hours. You're going to want me to spend another 8 hours editing and then having to go through 3 free revisions. It's not worth it for me to do that all for $200. But they're going to be like, well, if I was to agree to it, and they'd be like, oh yeah, it's $200. We're going to do so many war weddings. We're going to have repetitive work and all that stuff. That's great. There might be a slim chance that we work again in the future, but it's not going to be worth all the revisions and all the hassles for that $200. Generally, I've learned with clients with bigger budgets, bigger wallets, fatter wallets, like corporate people or people that they're willing to spend more on video, they know exactly what they're looking for. They'll let you do your job. They're not going to nitpick. They're not going to watch over your shoulder the entire process. They're going to say, hey, can you make this, this, and this for me? You're going to say yay or nay. If you say yay, they're like, okay, cool, here's a deposit. Go ahead and go out there and make it. You make it, you give them it, they like it, you get the other half deposit, done. Ask for no revisions. Or they'll ask for super specific revisions with time codes and everything on it. They'll be like, we want this, this, and this changed. That's it. They're not going to go in, can you change this to this and this? Actually, I don't think I really want that changed. Could you go back to how it was before? Actually, could you do this and this? They're not going to like jump back and forth. They know exactly what they want. And we creatives love that. I love a client that knows what they want within reason. I want you to know exactly what you want, but I don't want you to be like overbearing about it. There's a certain way to do it. I don't really know how to enunciate it, but just don't be a jerk about it, basically. Know what you want, but you don't have to be a jerk about it, bro. You can tell me that you want this, this, and this effect at these different time points, but you don't have to be like don't have to be overbearing about it. Like, my God, my dude. So that's the 3 main red flags I could think of when it comes to the film industry, or at least with clients inside the film industry. And a little quote to end out the live stream as some words of wisdom. We're going to start off with, this is a good one right here. word of advice. If a client says to pan up or tilt left, that is a sign the client is going to be a hassle to work with. Hope y'all guys enjoyed this Broke Creators podcast. I'm not sure what's going to be out on Spotify, but we're trying something new. I have COVID, so I can't really leave the house, and there's going to be a lot more podcasts and video type stuff coming on this YouTube channel and the actual Broke Creators podcast, since I created it earlier today. Can't live stream on it yet, but this podcast will also be up there. And if y'all have any questions or topics you want me to do or people you want me to interview, make sure to drop it down in the comment section. Give this live stream a good old like, and I'll see y'all in the next podcast or video content. Depends on how we do it. Thanks, guys.